winning isn't easy. Let's talk about a vertebral compression UNUM claim and what one federal judge did. In my many years of practice, I have learned that one of the most painful back injuries is what's called a compression fracture of the spine. Now, this can result in wedging of the vertebral bodies. I kind of think of this as a stack of Oreo cookies. The cookie is the vertebral body, the cream is the disc. And so when you have a compression fracture, sometimes the cookie, if you will move and will wedge. That's going to result in loss of the vertebral height of the vertebral body. And the bone of the spine can collapse and wedge. The spinal bone can also fracture and fragment. So think of the cookie fracturing and fragmenting. This is known as retropulsed fragments. And these fragments can be displaced into the spinal canal, potentially causing a spinal cord injury. Very, very painful. Now, in an analysis of a vertebral compression fracture claim, I always want to start with what's the common cause and symptoms. The common causes are due to trauma, like ejection from a car, an ejection seat, or something simple, if you will, as osteoporosis, tumors, or even infections. What are the symptoms that can be disabling? Now, this is key. It can include the back pain, the loss of height, and a hunched forward posture. And it isn't unusual for the pain to increase with repetitive back motion, walking, standing, and even static sitting. And all of those positions or activities can result in a disability insurance claim. Now, while treatment can include medication and injections, there is the more radical surgery of bone replacement surgery. But that isn't even an option when there are bone fragments that can be pushed further into the spinal canal or compress the spinal nerves. So ultimately, the treatment at best is palliative. It's not curative unless you have this radical surgery. So this is something you're going to be living with quite some time with a lot of pain. Disability carriers, when they get a vertebral compression fracture claim, is going to start their analysis by looking at the type of work the policyholder or plan beneficiary did, when and why they stopped working, what was the treatment, and the response to the treatment. Now, if the medical records are silent on the nature of your symptoms, when you stop working, what symptoms caused you to stop working, you're in trouble from the very beginning. And the carrier will deny the claim, or they'll even get an IME to help justify the claim's denial. I promise you that an IME, which I call an insurance medical evaluation by a liar for hire, is for the purposes of denying a claim and saying that you can return to work. I think it's really crucial in a vertebral compression fracture claim that you get something called a functional capacity evaluation as part of the claim, and certainly to get it if the claim is denied, because you've got to rebut the liar for hire doctor. If your physician refuses to fill out an attending physician statement form, or you have to undergo a liar for hire insurance medical evaluation that's not favorable, one way to combat these problems is to get that functional capacity evaluation. It's going to measure your functional status. In other words, how long you can sit, stand, walk, stoop, bend, how much you can lift. Now, functional capacity evaluations, I think, are the gold standard for determining a person's functional capacity. In fact, here in the 11th Circuit, courts recognize FCEs as being sort of the gold standard test. But one of the new arguments that disability carriers are making is that the functional capacity evaluation isn't time relevant, notwithstanding the fact that their own IME isn't time relevant. What do the courts do with this argument? Let me tell you about the case of Boykin versus UNUM Life, which is a California case. The court noted that Boykin had the burden of proof to establish that he met the standard of disability. Nothing new. But in this case, Boykin had returned to work after sustaining a compression fracture in a motor vehicle accident. He worked for almost 8 months with increasing back pain and leg pain, as documented in his medical records. Now, UNUM, of course, in their indubitable fashion, didn't get those medical records, and the judge wasn't impressed with this. But ultimately, when his claim was denied, Boykin got a functional capacity evaluation, which UNUM said, too bad, so sad, it's too late, we're not going to look at it. The court said, oh, not so fast. UNUM noted that the FCE provider's observations were the same as the treating physician's observations, and the court held that the FCE was in fact time relevant because of the consistency in the medical records. Those records showed a progression of the symptoms and a lack of response to medical treatment. And you can see that the FCE can be a crucial piece of evidence in winning and keeping your disability benefits in a vertebral compression fracture case. Let's take a break.
Are you a professional with questions about your individual disability policy? You need the Disability Insurance Claim Survival Guide for Professionals. This book gives you a comprehensive understanding of your disability policy with tips and to-dos regarding your disability application that will assist you in submitting a winning disability application. This is one you won't want to miss. For the next 24 hours, we are giving away free copies of the Disability Insurance Claim Survival Guide for Professionals. Order yours today at disabilityclaimsforprofessionals.com.